Let's start with about me, just so you kind of all know why I'm the one doing this. Well, first of all, Rock Harbor did have me do the training like I just told you. To me, it was an experiment to see if it were possible to really train up volunteers that have day jobs, usually, to do something that, in my experience, well, personally, I dedicated my life to do. And so 20 years of mixing, or more than that now, 25 years maybe of mixing and 20 years of it professionally. I have a hard time saying, well, yeah, then someone that takes a few week class can do just as good. And of course, maybe you can't do just as good, but to do really well it's great. I've been mixing in this studio and a lot of others, mixing CDs for years and years, mostly in the Christian market. So worship CDs, mixed a lot of, like Vineyard CDs, Word Records CDs, CCM, especially a lot back in the 90s, so a lot of has-beens now. And then I traveled on the road with a lot of these artists through the whole world, mixing mostly in churches, but because big Christian concerts, as today, still are usually in big churches, but then still plenty of concerts in whatever arenas, stadiums, things like that. But mixing is extremely fun. Well, that's why we all like it. That's why we're all here, of course. But it's I was a wannabe rock star, and I had my little day in the sun in my rock band. We had a couple albums and had a good little run. But to me, that feeling of being on stage and playing isn't even really closely matched to really getting a good mix in a live setting. I don't want to call it a rush because we don't want to associate it that closely with doing it out of that much of a selfish pleasure. But it is a really great feeling. It's a very satisfactory feeling to know that you're really turning what the band is doing. If the band had a terrible sound person, pretty much everybody walks home and says that band was awful, and they don't realize it was all in the sound person's fault usually. Now, of course, if the sound is awesome, they say the band is awesome. It's never the sound person's fault. They don't get the credit, but still, that's how important we are, as we know, and it's so common for churches just to throw people at it because they need someone. And training is pretty rare, I find, because most churches have, you walk in, it's just always marginal at best, unless it's a paid. Some of these mega churches have a good paid person, and it's always consistent and always very good. So yeah, I mixed studio, I mixed live. As far as in my peak in the studio career, I was nominated for 1 Grammy and a Dove Award. So it's hard for me to say it in a boasting way, but I only say it in the sense that I am qualified. Put it that way. That's, I guess, what I'm trying to say is I am qualified. I'm very self-taught, and I'm very road-taught, essentially. Most of my friends in the 80s started going to, most of my friends that wanted to do what I wanted to do, an engineer, they started going to the big schools. And this was in 88 maybe when I was like, well, forget that. I want to start doing it now. So I instead then, 2 years later, they were already working on big records, and I was like 10 years teaching myself. And so it certainly didn't save me time. But I think in the end, I came out better. And to be honest, most of those guys now, work in some office somewhere behind a desk because it didn't absolutely click with them. So I do think that there's a certain amount of value to that. There's this long-term discovering how things work. And even though you're taking this class, this doesn't discount that, of course. You need the shot in the arm. You need to get these essentials. But you're going to go out there, and you're going to still continue figuring it out for a long time.